everybody.
Welcome to All That Matters and More.
And I'm Komiki, and welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. But before Dudu and I dive right into it, we just wanted to give you guys a quick disclaimer and to let you know that the content we will be providing is for entertainment, educational, and informative purposes.
Yes, guys, that the information, opinions, as well as recommendations provided by us should be by no means considered as medical or professional advice.
Yes.
Hi.
How's it, my girl?
I'm awesome in yourself.
I'm good. Can't complain.
Yeah, man.
How's the week been?
Same old, you know. Same old shit, just a different day.
Actually, ne? Yeah. Maz is like, we're going to have a school topic because I
Girl, I was just feeling my inner, I was just literally feeling my inner Kanye, and I was like, well,
okay, cool.
Let's just be raggy.
Okay, cool. We dig it. So, how's everything been going? Have you found anything interesting, doing any research thus far?
Man, I research a lot, but it's just obviously not related to this topic. But if you are at home, just learn about ethics. So I think I touched on in the last episode about consequentialism, and then you can also do deontology. So it's like the Kant, not like the okay, can't, not the other one. But definitely you can. Hey, it's a very dangerous one. But definitely you'll just learn about different types of people when it comes to consequences and how they judge a situation, whether they're morally good or not, and what constitutes as being a good person or a morally righteous person, and what you do in that situation. So definitely, because we will touch up on that topic, but just have a view of what, when we enter into it, what are ethics, what's deontology, what are we exactly referring to, and what does it mean? And you can also look at the history of South Africa or the history of these big organizations of how they've managed to work in terms of their ethical practices.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think we use ethics anyway now every day, guys. So that's definitely, you can use it as a point of reference as well. So when we do talk about it, people can be like, oh, okay, cool. They did mention this, so then they can jot it down. So I think lately what I wanted to talk about is that I think there's just so many issues when it's going.
Oh God, don't you want to
Oh, sorry guys. Everybody get their flu shots. So I think there's so many situations, unfortunately, when it's like coming to children, and it's actually pretty devastating and sad. Here in South Africa, I think that children are so amazing, and I think that it's so important for us as adults to try and make sure that obviously if you are around a child, whether it's your child, your niece, your nephew, you always need to make sure that they learn the right type of practices, they're getting the right type of information from school, they're regulating their emotions effectively, So then I was actually thinking to myself, like the other day, like when would it be the correct time to actually start to teach your child about sex? Okay, so basically sex education. And then also with like everything that has been going on, like is it a good idea to start teaching your child about like sex in pre-primary, like when they're in pre-primary school? Or is that like more of we look at no, because obviously they're in high school, adolescent phase, they hormones. So that like struck a very interesting topic. And obviously I can say that we do know what is going on with, unfortunately, young girls and young boys. They are starting to now have sex at a very young age. And it's very bad because then we know that when you're older, you are properly developed to, carry a child, and then obviously give birth as well without there being any like major complications in some cases.
So what would you say?
I mean, I would say you kind of, I think it depends on like the home situation, okay? I think it's just the thing of, do we need to necessarily teach? I don't think, maybe not pre-primary, but maybe you can start to kind of like pick up on their understanding, okay? And to sort of figure out in terms of their level of understanding, where are they? Okay. And then pick up on where could they possibly be getting the information so that if they do come across it, you can address it appropriately and in a better manner. But I don't think necessarily like full blown in pre-primary stages because they are still very young. Their level of understanding is not as vast as a human, like an older person would be. So maybe not pre-primary. I think high school definitely full blown. But pre-primary, no. I think understanding their level of understanding and then just picking up where they could get this information, such as the internet, the TV. Also at school as well with other children that are a lot more advanced and experienced.
Yeah. I think for me, I'd definitely have it at a very young age because I don't know if you guys, you know that within the police department, you do have the special victims unit.
Yeah.
And that caters to sort of like your GBV, your rape cases and stuff like that. So, or child abuse. So for me, it's definitely when I have my own children, I definitely hold that conversation in terms of them understanding their body parts and what they should allow and what they shouldn't allow.
Yeah.
So in terms of if there's Uncle Masweets out there trying to do something shady,
Yeah.
my baby would know that, okay, this is not to say, obviously, if she starts to feel uncomfortable, she should be able enough to have the conversation with me to say, okay, ma, this, that. It's just that you won't go in depth detail on terms of, okay, this is what happens during sex, but just to let them or help them understand their body parts and what's okay and what's not okay, obviously, as they progress in age. And definitely, as soon as they like grade 8, I'm definitely having a conversation because these kids nowadays, they will scare you. And I have a friend that's a teacher, and we've literally been talking, and she's like, girl, the things we see.
Children know a lot.
Yeah. And I think it's just high key that parents parent. I mean, it's not the teacher's job to parent.
Yeah.
They play a part, but as parents, we need to parent. But I definitely have it because I'm not sure if you've seen Sex Education on Netflix.
A little bit, but not like I've not been like fully invested in it. I've heard of it, but I've seen like a little bit of it.
Yeah. So obviously there's also one on Showmax. I don't have the name in my head, but it also has to do something with sex. But it's just
No,
not
sugar's
sugar.
HIV.
Not sugar.
Guys, sugar's HIV. Just by the way.
No, it's not sugar. It's sex something. It's sex something. And I think it's about females coming into their femininity and just exploring. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just like sort of like sex education where we need to not shy away from having the conversation so that our kids know. And I think a high key important lesson, birth control.
At a young age.
No, and not obviously when they're still in primary, but as soon as they hit grade 8.
Yeah. Okay.
Kids nowadays are very forward. But just to let them know birth control, and by the time my child is 16, this is my view, my baby will be on birth control. 16 and pregnant, not happening in my household.
I also don't think it's gonna happen in my household as well because we were afraid. Remember how afraid we were? Like, I don't know, like obviously not necessarily afraid in that kind of case, but guys, like our parents were a lot more stricter. I think that obviously it's just I think parents do have control, but now it's like wild, man. It's like a free for all. You can find out information at the drop of a hat, you know. Or with some guy and you're friend. I saw this and this and this and that. What do you think? Then your friend already has a whole entire scroll, an encyclopedia of it, you know?
Yeah. And I think, sorry to just cut you in, and I think social media just made things very
complex,
yeah,
and dynamic as well.
Yeah. Oh, but not in like a good. I think for me, I think also, I mean, I know other parents have their kids on social media, like allow their kids.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like a high key strict mom. I'm gonna be a high key strict mom. So no social media because the influence they get in terms of our influencers, what they're wearing, and in terms of what their intake is, you need to be very careful of it because kids now, like as young as they are, but they're having those sort of sexual conversations or this guy likes me and this guy wants to because the music that they listen to,
as
what
well.
they are, what they get to literally just scroll up and down and just have a look at.
Yeah.
So I want to nip things in the bud, and I've always said, prevention is better than. What did I say? I forgot what I used to say, but something around those lines.
Yeah. I think I'm going to be one of those, like, I will go to the school and be like, what is your curriculum when it comes to sex education, child? Yeah. I want to be prepared. I want to know. I think that I want to, and like, I just need to, there's just some things where I like, Yes, it's good for them to get that sort of information. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to be a perfect mother. Yes, there are times where I will make mistakes, and I do want my children to challenge me 110%. Pre-primary, never. Well, I
Yeah.
pay for everything. I definitely would want my children, obviously just keeping in mind that, guys, like, I'm not saying I'm going to be one of those parents, I'm going to shove down my beliefs and everything. But I think at a certain age, I would want them to understand, and I would want them to just be in somewhat of full control. And I feel like I would need to know as well, what are they teaching, especially when it comes to sex education to pre-primary children. I'd want to know what my
But
children
remember,
are
they're not
learning.
having a fully sex education. It's just like life orientation.
Yeah.
And obviously now, if you saw on YouTube, where I think parents in America were pretty much striking regarding like their kids being taught about, the LGBTQI
Yeah.
plus community and stuff like that. For me, I honestly don't have a problem with that being taught. That's just me.
Yeah.
Because my beliefs are totally different, 100% different and how I view things. So it's something that I feel like if it's gonna
So you're saying that it would be more necessary?
I'm not saying it's necessary, but in the event that it wants to get taught, let it be taught, because we see kids growing up and you're like, oh, lo, Easter ban,
Yeah.
but you don't say anything. And then when they come into age, it shouldn't be a shock like, hi, Utemba. No, but we've seen ukuthi Temba likes cross-dressing. I mean, Utemba magadlala, uthanda ukugqoka amakwayikwayi. Utemba, when we go do our nails, Temba wants to follow us.
Yeah.
It's okay. If Tembi is like, only Tembi doesn't like dresses, Tembi doesn't want to wear dresses.
Yeah.
Tembi likes being on a bike. Tembi doesn't want to put on makeup. So by the time my child comes into age, I shouldn't be like, but Tembi, why? No, I've seen it, and I think if it does get taught, and I think probably what they're trying to eliminate is high numbers of suicide within kids who are probably transitioning and figuring out who they are. Because I look back now from high school and I see a lot of people who are now out and they're comfortable to say, okay, this is what I prefer and whatnot. When we were in high school, they couldn't do that.
Yeah, it was
Like they were like caging
it
in. So I think if at schools it's taught that actually, if you feeling some kind of way, that's okay. I wouldn't mind having that conversation with my child. Okay, if at school they have that conversation with my child, but it's definitely something where, as a parent, I need to make sure that they fully understand what it is and how I would like them to be during that time.
Yeah.
But if my kid is like 4 and or like 3 and they want to wear dress, like, wear a tutu. Who cares?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I would want to know what they said, so I can like prepare myself to be like, okay, this is also how I would like to teach it. I just don't know. I think for me, it would work out like, a lot better. Obviously, when children like do get older, like we also are just like, excuse me, neriseleka and stuff, so whatever they taught me at school sometimes, I'd also want my children to, I think what would be important, whatever they are being taught at school, like they must also come openly communicate that with me, not saying that I'll always chip in, certain things I definitely will 110%, but I guess those are just my experiences and I will learn to better deal with them. But I think definitely when my children are like, yeah, no, I learned when I like a boy or whatever, or these are my spots, these are not, so on and so forth. There's just some things I feel I would like to do as a parent rather as well. Like I get that you're learning it and good for you. At least school touches on those things because I mean, we need to. It's the reality. Now, when I'm 12 years old, like a baby, 13, 12, and I'm like, but you're still a child. You haven't even fully grown. So there's some things I would like to like combat, but
I think just keep your child off social media.
So what you think?
That's it. I keep your child off social media.
Sorry. I have a question. Yeah, I know I'm not supposed to be doing this, but I have a question. You're saying
Shoot.
you think it's okay to teach, that was Dudu.
Mm.
You want to teach your children about sex at a very young age.
Not about sex. It's not, remember, sex is difficult. Sex doesn't mean penetration, right? Sex, you could be, if I'm teaching you about sex, I could be teaching you about body parts because you're coming into of age, or just to know that hence I touched on sort of like the special victims unit to say if I'm being touched anywhere
Inappropriately.
Or even if as a kid you wouldn't necessarily know, but I think I want my child to know that if I'm being touched and it's really not where somebody who should not be touching me like that, I want my child to be aware to say, you know what, and be able to vocalize it to say, no, I was really touched very much inappropriately. That's what I want my kid. Because we've seen a lot of cases where kids get molested at a very young age and they never come to talk about it until you one day listening to news and it's like, oh shit, this happened to me. So I want to avoid that. And I think also going about handling it, I wouldn't make it feel like maybe my child did something bad. Hence, it's like it's important to figure out a way that you want to parent and the way that you want to talk to your child.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, I want my child to know, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to make her feel bad in terms of if it happened to her. It's just finding ways to combat it or work around that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned something about keeping your child from social media. How do you intend to do that in this generation? And probably Ndana Magana Buma 16, Akala Figa high school, maybe 14, grade 8, grade 9. You need a way of communicating with your child when they're not in front of you. But how do you then balance that with keeping them off social?
But remember, my child doesn't need to be on Instagram. They don't need to be on Twitter. They don't need to be on Facebook. They honestly don't need to be on WhatsApp.
And with YouTube
okay,
now,
so-
there's that parental control thing.
Yeah.
So obviously, even if you can see, I don't know if you've watched YouTube videos where things are very violent, or now they're also starting to do in that whole like sign-in thing type of thing. So I don't know if I'm correct in my information, but I have come across it where it says, "Are you old enough to be watching this?" Before you click on it, then you say, "Yes, I am old enough," and then it says there, "This is not for viewers who are sensitive. This is going to be very." So I think that the parental control thing, I know they definitely are doing that. In terms of games, I haven't done as much research, but I'm sure you do have control over what your children can view and cannot view. I think maybe with the age that you're saying, I completely understand. Abantwana bayaganga, nathi besiganga, you know. How can you do that? Okay.
But now, where do you draw the line to say, now I am not invading my child's privacy, and I'm giving my child
leeway?
I'm gonna.
Okay, you can go first.
I'm gonna be honest. My parents were traditional. My mom is like an old school black woman. She did not care. I'm just gonna put it that way. Right now, Rena, we are. I think it's just going to come about in terms of maybe how you're raised, but this is just my opinion, how you are raised and how to not overstep those boundaries for your children's privacy. I mean, you can look at it two ways, where we have seen where if parents did not necessarily intervene as quickly as they should have on whatever it is that their children are watching or doing on the internet, it could have saved them. But also, once again, I just think it's up to you and how you grew up. It's like, for example, with corporate, like when people say, well, I'm not going to hit my child. And you're like, I'm going to hit my child. Like I was hit. Like that for me is like, you know, so I think when it comes to that, it's just about dealing with how you were raised in a way. How you were raised does have a bit of an impact in terms of how you will become as a parent. But once again, we're all different and that's just my opinion. Yeah.
I think for me, I believe in having open communication channels with your kid and having your child, like we touched on our topic about social and emotional development and the certain skills that you can instill in your child. And obviously now, guys, all of this is hypothetical. We ain't got no kids. I don't know how my kid's gonna turn out. So,
our children to show us, please.
So I don't know how my child is gonna turn out.
I'm asking because I have a child, and already when you're saying you're taking away her phone, it's war.
But then obviously it's how you introduced it to her.
Exactly.
Remember, as umtana, it's like you train. So you train. So I think for me, in certain situations, I'm gonna have the conversation so that my child understands that this is what mommy wants, this is what mommy would like, and I would appreciate it if you just do what mommy is saying. And the reason why is because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So I think it's having my they call it a darn good argument. So whatever I'm putting forward to my child is for her to understand the premises I'm putting in place to say this is what, not what. And if you, because I know like you touched on the age restriction, because I know
the age
TikTok
restriction,
does. I know TikTok, if you're signing in under 13, they will only provide that sort
YouTube
of
as well, and the
media
specific
for
games.
you.
I'm not which sure. I think if the games are not necessarily educational as well, they definitely do ask like, what do you call it? Are you old enough to view this? You know, so they definitely do that. But maybe let's say, well, on Instagram,
Yeah,
Twitter,
no, but
Facebook.
all of them, I'm not having my kids on it. I'm until 18, and then
Like
after
at all?
18, at all. My thing is obviously YouTube is the source of information.
Yeah, no.
Wait, and then, when can I
Guys,
post?
it's
No,
not.
but wait, can I post something then to you?
It's not gonna
You show me. Show me how. Okay, now I get what you're saying. I'm gonna like I
18
agree
is
and I
a big
disagree because I
age.
do
No, it's
understand.
too
Nah.
much.
It's not
But-
big. It's not. Can
But
I
no,
tell
no,
you?
can I
I'm
just
gonna
post
refer
something?
to someone.
Can I ask? Show me hatlamuyena are Instagram on my phone. When they scroll through their
She
friends'
can scroll.
Instagram.
My thing is, it's fine. She can have. I'm not gonna control what you do when you're out with your friends.
Okay.
If you wanna look at somebody when they wanna show you something, they will show you whatever. But the thing is, it's what I want to instill in my daughter. And before you guys say 18 is too big, whatever, there's this lady on Real Housewives, Giselle. None of her kids until, well, her oldest is now on Instagram. And it's not saying you cannot look at, but it's just that I don't want you on Instagram because when you're at this age, the things that could potentially influence you, which are not always good, right? So it's just to say that it's just like, I'm not saying my child, if my daughter's, why am I
Can we
talking
look
about
at
a
it
girl?
from a son's perspective? Because from the daughter, it's quite sensitive. I understand where you're coming from when you're saying daughter. But now think of a son. Let's say you have a son, not a daughter.
Yeah, my son gonna be a nerd.
You have to balance it out. You have to balance. Yeah, you have to balance it out. It was unfair. In my household, it was unfair. My brother had everything before me. Your Facebooks, your whatever it is at the time. He knew how to get access to it. He knew how to. And remember when Facebook came out? You know, when Facebook came out, you had to be a varsity student to go on Facebook.
Okay, we're not that old.
I know. I don't know that.
I was old. I don't know if I'm recalling the information correctly, but I remember there was a specific age. We didn't get Facebook until it was open to everybody else. We were excited. We were like, we cannot wait to. So with sons, it's gonna be different. But if you want your son to not go on there, you're gonna tell your son. You're gonna
have a
teach him. It's like,
conversation.
if you don't want your son on Instagram, you have to do the exact same thing. And in households like that, you are right. You need to look at those things and be careful. Because what can your son do that your daughter can't do, vice versa? And where do you teach them so that they both learn that this is effective learning and teaching? Because obviously, how come you can do this and I can't? But mommy said you can do this and I can't. So you just need to understand and learn and pick what am I going to teach them, where unfortunately this lesson will be be more beneficial, or I'm helping the female in the future and the male, I think. And then you just have to decide what are you going to teach them when they're together to be like, moving forward, this is how you need to learn how to communicate or regulate things or look at things this type of way.
And did you want to say something before?
Yeah,
I chime in?
I'm interested. Like, how do you have any pointers on how you're gonna regulate your kid from having all of these things? Because remember, you're probably gonna be with your child for like 2 hours. That's a day.
Like I said,
That's the time.
my thing is, it's not about it's. Sorry to cut you in.
Yeah.
It's building a trust. I think Dr. Gabor said the only reason you are able to parent, I'm paraphrasing, is if the child allows you to parent. That's how you can build a relationship with the child. If the child decides, I want to be parented, the child will allow you. And it's essentially for me to say, I'm not saying I'm going to monitor. I'm not going to be a helicopter parent. I'm just like I'm saying, I'm going to let my child know what it is that mom would like and what it is that isn't. And if my child, with whatever I would have instilled, if they come back and they're like, listen, mom, so da 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 da. And then I'm going to be back like, okay, da 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 da. And da 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 is da 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 da. But we'll find a middle ground to it.
But then what if, can I just throw something at you, right? I get what you're saying, but what if sometimes, because what if your child doesn't come to you? Because after a specific age, I don't know if it's now, we can't necessarily blame on it like on adolescent phase. Are you always sure your child is going to come to you 110% with everything?
No, I mean, I have secrets. You have secrets. He has secrets. We all got secrets. So I'm not saying, hence means I'm not going to be a helicopter parent. It's creating the trust that if anything goes too far, I want to know. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying I'm gonna monitor, but if anything,
I'm in high school. I'm in grade 10. Ma got to get pregnant, and I told her to go do an abortion. You want me to come and tell you that?
I want you to come and tell me that.
That's not happening.
Not happening.
But don't say that though.
What do
You
mean
guys
that's
don't
not
know
happening?
that. Because what I'm asking is that, okay, I mean, we wouldn't be in that extreme,
Wait,
but
why
all I was saying is that
we know a lot of women who got pregnant in grade 10.
Yeah, but the guy didn't go home. The boy didn't go home and said, "Mama got someone pregnant." The parents, they came parents. They came parents.
Can I tell you why is it so difficult? I'm not attacking the black race or because we're not literally indebted in our moral or belief or value system that it's like that. If you look at the practice of Muslim, right, and how they do things, it's like the discipline that you have. These guys have discipline. You can, and my thing is, you can see it being done in other religions that somebody is honestly able. You've seen it with monks, you know. Why are you doing that? You've seen it
because of the way that they are Dude, if you grew up as a monk,
it's the way.
you are gonna be you're gonna
way.
be a monk. Your practices have been so instilled from a very young age
But
that
I know
you
we're
won't
talking about
grow
my
up.
child. I'm talking about my child and how I'm gonna grow
But
there.
My thing is though,
remember,
will
you're
the child
talking
come?
about a child who's in the postmodernist world where everything is not black and white. We have the LGBTQIA now. We have the this. We have the that. There's no structured way of doing things. Everything is open.
I'm not disputing everything is open, but what the conversation I'm having with my son is totally different. And I don't know which faith-based I'll be in at that particular point. But it's just saying that if I'm practicing a particular religion, umntwana ukhula ayazi ukuthi during this is what we do. You get what I'm saying? If
they make a mistake in that case,
if you make
because
a mistake,
yes, you can say that.
What you're saying, it could work if you are a single parent.
No, don't
Remember,
say
there's gonna
that.
be
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that because then what you got? No.
I'm saying,
Don't say
I'm gonna get married.
I'm not done.
I'm not saying that, but don't say if you're a single parent.
It might work. Remember, the
How
child
will
is the father.
Why are you saying it might work?
Does the father also believe in exactly?
Why would I go why would I go make a baby with a man who doesn't believe in the same shit? The next thing I'm gonna have a problem of a baby.
You have a child.
Guys, why are we talking about people who are 17 when none of us here are 17?
Yeah, but you had the
and
child.
we're talking about hypothetical babies I'm gonna have in the future.
Yes, but you didn't have the child when you met that person. And it's manje lo muntu
but angithi ngiyahlangana masikhuluma. Masihlangana angithi ngizosho ukuthi okay ndoda. And remember, if ngithi mina I'm Christian, right? For instance, if I say this is my belief, this is my belief system, this is what we practice, and this is how we do things. The first thing I want to go about is getting a man that believes in the same faith and practices as me, so that there's no complications in the house.
But that's not always necessarily the case, you know.
No, but
I'm just saying in like that's not always necessarily the case. So basically, you're saying. Like you'll do everything like, okay, I get what you're saying, 110%. You obviously are going to lay it out on the table to be like, I'm like this, I'm like that, I'm like this, I'm like that. Take it or leave it type of thing.
No, not take it or leave it.
But then what if you happen to find somebody you love who's not Christian and your beliefs are completely different?
Then let me tell you, my beliefs are completely different.
And then
when I marry, that's the thing, premarital counseling is very important. When you marry, right? And you decide, we need to sit down and decide how are we raising our children. When you go to premarital counseling and I'm saying, you know what, I'm going to convert, right? There's people who change their surnames. It's either you convert to a different religion. It happens. So it needs to be those conversations that we have. And I'm not saying I'm going to know exactly like when I get them and be like, no, daughter, we are doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just to say that by the time where I'm getting into something, and because I do want to get married. I want to get married. I want to have kids in that order. And it's just to say that when we are, walking through that journey, it's to have the conversation with my partner because we need to have those serious conversations.
I don't think we're disputing the serious conversations.
Yes, but I'm saying, Hori.
Let's go back to if Nona Lingwan, are you sure your child will come with you with each and every single thing. Like, for example, they said, Mom, like I just made a girlfriend pregnant and
But
your child
I'm not,
is 16.
dude,
Or
I
are you
answered
just
this
hoping that whatever it is that
question.
whatever it is that you're teaching, you'd like to think that your child will take it out there and make the better judgment?
No, my thing is, I don't think my child will come to me with everything. I'm not expecting that. I'm not saying my child. I said this and I'm gonna repeat it again. I'm not saying I'm gonna monitor my child what they do. They need to come with me. All I'm saying is I wanna give my child the room to feel like they can trust me. What they do is entirely up to them. One thing I would appreciate is that when shit hits the fan, I would love. I'm not saying my child will come tell me. I don't know what my child is going to do. They have their own mind. I would love for my child to feel comfortable and safe enough to come back and say, Mom, 1, 2, 3. I'm not saying my child's going to tell me. I mean, damn, I never told my parents everything. I'm not expecting them to be like, Mama, Gienze. No.
So what happens when, like what you said about social media, keeping your kids out of social media? What if Baba Wengane is like, nah, he doesn't care about it?
Remember, ubaba ngani ulala
And you are
nami.
always
We're going
gonna
to
be
have the
safe.
conversation. Mina no baba umntana are going to have this conversation, and I'd say, listen, this is what I would like. And if my husband comes and is like, but I feel like you being too much, let's just be lenient, let them go, have the 13 restriction. Because it's a conversation that I had with my partner. And remember, my husband is now my partner. He's not my dictator. It's just to say, okay, I'm understanding your point of view. I'm understanding, let's find a middle ground. And if a middle ground comes about, definitely we'll do it like that. I'm not saying Wutsi, my beliefs are just going to be like, Obviously, now I'm talking about, it's wishful thinking. It's what we call wish. It's what I would like. This is what I would like. I'm not sure if it's going to happen. I would like ngifisa ukuthi umntanami angabi ne-social media.
You see what I was saying when I said when you're a single parent. I wasn't saying
No,
with
you
my-
were
I was saying
No.
it's easier to
Single
do it,
parent.
it's easier to control or to overlook umdanako one. Because you don't have to talk to someone, reach a middle ground.
No, but I don't think. But then what happens then?
Decide.
What happens then? What do you call it? When now you're saying that, right? Okay, cool. I live with mom. Mom wants us to do this. I live with dad. Dad is a lot more free. So that's not controllable.
But I think.
But you're saying it's better if it's a single parent.
Yes, because you can just, there's one word. There's no mom likes it, dad doesn't like it. There's just mom likes it.
Okay, but then now, what if mom likes it? Nah, that's okay. Dad doesn't like it. Because a single parent, right? Or are you saying a single parent, or what do you call it? Or are you saying then a single parent who doesn't necessarily have the other parent present?
Wait, what?
Like, you know how you're saying a single parent, right?
Yeah.
By single parent, you mean, I scared sometimes you can be a single parent. Okay, sorry. But then I scared the parent is the dad,
like,
for example.
co-parenting.
Yeah,
so
like
mom,
co-parent.
dad,
So
but
mom,
they're not
dad,
together. Yeah.
but they're not together. But then a single parent where the dad is not present at all, or the mom.
I didn't think about it that further.
That's where I'm thinking, Huri. If, let's say, for example, co-parenting, rather, right? Mom likes it, dad doesn't. So then who's right, who's wrong?
That's when the kids now make
Has to
their
decide.
own decisions.
And I get what you're saying. You are right. If I'm a single parent where now my dad is now completely not involved, then obviously you're going to take whatever it is that your mom says using your own discretion.
But then if you guys are co-parenting, right? If it's single mom, single dad, and if you are co-parenting, it's establishing healthy co-parenting skills, right? So it's something that could still be a conversation. That's simple as that. But if you guys are having healthy co-parenting, and even if you're not a single, like Komiki touched on, even if, let's say, I am a single parent and the father's there, umntana wakabani, essentially.
Actually. And then now it's who do I agree with? Do I agree with mom or dad? Who's right? Then you're like, but mom said or dad said.
Yeah, I think we took it a bit too with this conversation. So,
no, but we're all that matters and more. So we touched on everything that matters and more, you know? So I actually dig it.
Yeah.
We can't always be the same. We are here to challenge people. That's why we always ask you guys as well, guys, on Instagram to just comment, like as well, challenge us. That's what Dudu and I are here for. Like we said, we are here to add information, a different perspective, a different view, but we also need you guys to challenge us, like Maz and Vuyo did today. Thank you very much.
That was dope. But yeah, just to obviously closing, we were talking about whether what at which point is it right to teach your children, or schools teach your children about sex education. And I think obviously at the end of the day, you the parent decide what your child learns. You decide what information they get. You know, you could be like Cuba and control everything like I would, but I can't. So yeah, that's just me closing it.
Yeah. So guys, thank you so much for joining us.
You can definitely, if you have more questions, would like to talk about this conversation and other topics, or you want to share something, you can definitely email us on imatterandmore@gmail.com.
Definitely, guys, whenever you do get time, and no hesitation at all, please like and subscribe on our YouTube page, Matters and More. And then on Instagram, guys, DM, comment, like, share. Challenge us, guys, if you feel like challenging us. If you wake up and you're like, I'm going to challenge these girls, we are ready and we're waiting for you. Instagram, Matters and More.
And bye.